Since the beginning, high school wrestling has been a pastime for men. The literal term mano a mano means hand-to-hand, but the Spanish created the saying to infer two men having a debate or two bullfighters in a ring. The origins of wrestling go back 15,000 years to cave drawings. Literary references to wrestling occur as early as the Old Testament and the ancient Indian Vedas. Here in Michigan, sometime over the past decade, we began to see an unfamiliar grappler on high school wrestling mats. Every once in a while, you'd see a girl competing against a boy. Flash forward to February 2nd, 2020. While many Michiganders were probably preparing to either attend or host a Super Bowl party, at Adrian College, a phenomenon was taking place. The Michigan Wrestling Association hosted the second annual Girls Wrestling State Championships. This felt like a legit single-day state tournament. It was big, but it didn't happen overnight. It had to build from the bottom up.
Over the years, being on the MHSA Wrestling Committee, we talked about starting women's wrestling. And Dave Dean, who runs My Way, who's a youth organization, Dave Dean said, why don't you give it to My Way, let us develop it, and see it grow from there. So he did. They created a women's youth program, and now it was just time.
Jamie Smith is the head coach at Frankfort High School. As the only female head wrestling coach in the state of Michigan, for 9 years she's headed up the traditional boys team, with always a few girls on the side. 5 brothers introduced her to the sport at a very young age. She wrestled in high school and in college. She married a wrestler, but this is new.
96, 97, 98. If there was one female in the gym, that was a big deal. And you got a lot of looks. So to then come here, I'm going to be honest, when we did the parade at the beginning, I've watched it with my brothers, I was pretty emotional for all of the girls, and then to watch all of these men, to watch the male coaches supporting their athletes, it's overwhelming.
When I first started wrestling, there was only one girl in the gym, it's basically just me, and if I saw another girl, it was exciting, and it's definitely grown. Women wrestling has grown since I started at 7 years old till now. It's gotten almost as popular as the guys.
This year's event saw a huge increase in participation as compared to last year. They had over 250 competitors. Steve Babbitt's been in the sport for 2 decades at all levels.
This is amazing. Completely blown away. I love seeing it. And it's fun.
The growth of girls wrestling has several contributors. The Olympics, more and more colleges offering the sport. And during the season, we're seeing several all-girls tournaments.
The girls-only tournaments this year statewide almost doubled than what it was a year ago. 2 years ago, you're lucky to find a couple, and now you may have to travel a little bit to find them, but you could go almost every weekend and find a girls-only tournament.
Title IX has certainly afforded females here in the state of Michigan just as many opportunities as the boys for competition. But even with all those choices, for some, grappling is where it's at. And all the ones we spoke to wrestle on their high school teams with and against the boys.
It's amazing in a sense. I like the competition. I know that it helps me get better strength-wise. The technique is a lot different, wrestling boys versus girls.
Wrestling guys, they're more muscular and like I wrestle heavier weights, and girls, they tend to be shorter in this weight class, so I have to watch the way I wrestle a lot more. With guys, it's like headlocks and all that.
Girls have a lot more flexibility. They're usually a lot heavier with their hips, and I don't really get that with the boys. They're more upper body strength, so it's nice feeling the difference there.
A big reason girls wrestling is thriving is the dedication of those determined to give it a fighting chance.
Mr. Kuhn is not only my high school wrestling coach, but he also coaches at Fowlerville, and he's been coaching me since I started wrestling, which was in 4th grade. I've always been someone to get into things that not normal people did. I was always athletic growing up, and Mr. Kuhn was just like, you know what? You should try wrestling. I remember the first practice, I fell in love with it, and I've been with it since, just because of him. He really is a huge part in my life.
The big question is, what's next? Although not an MHSAA sport, they are involved.
They're a presenting sponsor, so we're following all MHSA rules. The ultimate goal here is that this becomes another division in wrestling, not a separate sport, but another division, and the MHSA feels comfortable, and that when they're ready, obviously take it under their umbrella?
Hoping 2 years. I'm hoping that in 2 years we are at Ford Field with the boys. That next year we want to do some regionals and show again, here's the packet, we can run it just like we are with the boys and run alongside them, and there's room at Ford Field for us. That's really our mission. Number one mission of the MWA is obviously grow the sport. Part of growing the sport is growing the sport for everybody. That's what's great about wrestling. 103 pounders, 285, males, females, blind, deaf, you can wrestle.
Because I used to do dance before, and that never has crossed my mind that I one day would be the top of the podium someday, and that day is today, and I'm so happy about that. In wrestling, yeah, exactly.
I'm Lorne Plant for State Champs.